उनको
I think
जय by mistake.
yesterday's leftover.
What?
I think it may be last day's leftover question.
No, no, by mistake को.
वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सरगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवम् साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सरगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमद्भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणि प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादि पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे सर्वशास्त्रादि पीयूष सर्ववेदैक सत्फल सर्वसिद्धांत रत्नाढ्य सर्वलोकैकदृक् प्रद सर्वभागवत प्राण श्रीमद्भागवत प्रभो कलिध्वांतोदितादित्य श्रीकृष्ण परिवर्तित परमानंद पाठाय प्रेमवर्षक्षराय ते सर्वदा सर्वसेव्या श्रीकृष्णाय नमस्तु मे मदेकबन्धो मत्सङ्गिन् मद्गुरो मन्महाधनं मनस्तारक मद्भाग्य मदानंद नमस्ते साधु साधुतादाय नतिनि चोच्यताकर आनमञ्च कदाचिन् मां प्रेम्णा हृत्कण्ठे वस्पुर ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. If there's any problem with the connection, then we turn off the videos. Okay, today is 1.13.57 to 1.14.11. 57. What is this? What did I do wrong? Okay, I understand. So in the BBT edition, 56 has got 3 lines. In this edition, this other edition, the third line of 56 has been transposed as the first line of 57. The sanyastakhila karmana, very interesting expression. It means that he actually gave up all other duties, see, renouncing all material duties. Okay, 57. Sava adyattanad rajan paratah panchame hani kalevaram hasyati svam tacha bhasmi bhavishyati. This also I need to see. I need to see who. I need to see Shri Vijayadhvajatirtha. Okay, I'll open that. We'll take it. It's forever. Okay, what is the verse? 1.13.57. This is Shri Swami. Shri Veera Raghava. Shri Vijayadhvaja. Sardhutarashtraha. अद्यतनात् अह्नः परतः पूर्वस्मिन् पञ्चमे हनि कलेवरं हास्यति जहौ तच्च भस्मी भविष्यति भस्मसात् अभूत्. According to Vijayadvaja Tirtha, this should be understood to be in the past tense, not in the future tense. Kalevaram hasyati jahau तच्च भस्मी भविष्यति भस्मसात् अभूत्. O king, he will quit his body, most probably on the 5th day from today, and his body will turn to ashes. तथा भूतमपि आनेतुम् उद्यतं प्रत्याह तस्येति. So even though Dhritarashtra would have engaged in mystic yoga, and he would have his own way of living his body. Yudhishthir might have been thinking that that's okay, but maybe I can bring him back. But that's not possible. It is not possible to get him back. So dahartham gamishyami na ityaha tacheti. His body will turn to ashes. So you don't need to get his body to burn his body also. Narada Muni is indicating that Yudhishthira should not become an obstruction to his spiritual progress. Narada Muni's prophecy prohibited Yudhishthira Maharaj. I think I should turn off the video because Zoom has given a message saying that the resources are less. I'll turn off the video. Misery loves company. Narada Muni's prophecy.
What are you using, Prabhu?
What?
Which network are you using? Your Wi-Fi, which?
JPS ARC 35 Mayapur online internet access.
You should use TP link EV05.
TP link does not appear. TP link 05 does not. It just appeared. It just appeared. Okay, 90% strength. 80% strength.
Fine,
So
okay. It will do.
Okay, let me just try it out and see what happens. Narada Muni's prophecy prohibited Yudhishthira Maharaj from going to the place where his uncle was staying, because even after quitting the body by his own mystic power, Dhritarashtra would not be in need of any funeral ceremony. Narada Muni indicated that his body by itself would burn to ashes. The perfection of the yoga system is attained by such mystic power. The yogi is able to quit his body by his own choice of time and can attain any planet he desires by turning the present body into ashes by self-made fire. All these personalities in Mahabharata are very powerful personalities. Even Duryodhana, very strong person. 58. Dahyamane nibhir dehe patyuh patni sahotaje bahistita patim sadhvi tam agnim anuvekshyati. While outside, observing her husband, who will burn in the fire of mystic power, along with his thatched cottage, his chaste wife will enter the fire with rapt attention. Tarhi gandharyanaya nayagamshyami na ityaha. Anticipated response. Then I will go and bring Gandhari Devi. So in this verse, Narada Muni is conveying, no, that is also not required. When by his yoga, the fire of mystic power, as well as the sacrificial fires that would have been there, when all of them burn up the thatched cottage, then his wife would be staying outside, but she would enter that fire. Gandhari was an ideal chaste lady, a life companion of her husband. And therefore, when she saw her husband burning in the fire of mystic yoga along with his cottage of leaves, she despaired. She left home after losing her 100 sons, and in the forest she saw that her most beloved husband was also burning. Now she actually felt alone, and therefore she entered the fire of her husband and followed her husband to death. This entering of a chaste lady into the fire of her dead husband is called the sati rite, and the action is considered to be most perfect for a woman. In a later age, this sati rite became an obnoxious criminal affair because the ceremony was forced upon even an unwilling woman. There is a whole book analyzing this phenomenon by Meenakshi Jain. Evangelicals, Baptist missionaries, and the changing colonial discourse. It is appreciated by academic scholars, actually. She points out that sati was a very rare phenomenon. It was not a common phenomenon. It was common in areas where the widow would be inheriting property. The Dharma Shastras have been interpreted by different commentators in different ways. So the commentaries that had influence in the area surrounding Bengal, those commentaries, they interpreted the law. Law means law regarding inheritance, according to Dharma Shastras, in such a manner that the widow will also get a part of the property. So therefore, when she dies, it is a benefit to the other people who would be having inheritances, who would rather be enjoying her inheritance. This was not the case in other parts of India. Like, for instance, in South India, Tamil Nadu, sati was a very rare phenomenon. We hear that Rajaraja Chola's wife engaged in sati. That was what? Maybe 1,000 years back? A little more than 1,000 years back. It's a very rare phenomenon. But the Christian missionaries, they exaggerated this and gave the appearance that every woman is committing sati. It's not every woman is committing sati. There were a number of women who were committing sati because that is considered ideal behavior for women in the past. Prabhupada will also explain it. In this fallen age, it is not possible for any lady to follow the sati rite as chastely as it was done by Gandhari and others in past ages. A chaste wife like Gandhari would feel the separation of her husband to be more burning than actual fire. Such a lady can observe the sati rite voluntarily, and there is no criminal force by anyone. When the rite became a formality only and force was applied upon a lady to follow the principle, actually it became criminal, and therefore the ceremony was stopped by state law. Some other place also Prabhupada talks about the sati rite in his Bhagavatam commentary. He says that he himself saw a lady who naturally died, not in sati and all that. But she naturally died when her husband died. This prophecy of Narada Muni, she was a chaste woman, chaste to her. This prophecy of Narada Muni to Maharaj Yudhishthira forbade him to go to his widowed aunt. 15:9. Vidurastu tadaschyaryam nishamya purunandana harshashoka yutastasmad gantatirthan nishevakaha. Vidura, being affected with delight and grief, will then leave for sacred places of pilgrimage. Tarhi vidura anayana artham gantavyam eva na ityaha. Okay, so then I should at least go to bring vidura? No, there's no need for that. Vidurastu tam nishamya. When Vidura sees this event, Bhratuhu sugatya harshaha tan mrityuna shokaha cha tabhyam yuktaha. He'll be happy that his brother got a good destination, and he would be in distress that he died. So he would then leave that place and he would go for pilgrimage. Harshoyam dhritarashtrasya sadgati praptir harsha praya eva gyeyaha. Shokastu mulataya sa eva gyeyaha. The happiness that Vidura experienced upon seeing his brother's good destination is almost happiness. It is not actual happiness. Overall, he was in distress only. Tan muktya harshaha shoka vyavaharena shokaha cha. He was happy that he attained liberation, but by custom, he was in distress. Atra bhakta aparadhini dhritarashtre vidurasya tadrisha kripa abhavat muktireva abhut natu prema bhakti ritighyaya. Dhritarashtra was an offender unto Krishna's pure devotees. And Vidura did not specifically bestow the sort of mercy required to attain Krishna Prema Bhakti. So therefore, Dhritarashtra only attained liberation. He did not attain Krishna Prema Bhakti. That explains why he was in distress. And he was not actually happy. Vidura was astonished to see the marvelous departure of his brother Dhritarashtra as a liberated yogi. For in his past life, he was much attached to materialism. Of course, it was only due to Vidura that his brother attained the desirable goal of life. Vidura was therefore glad to learn about it, but he was sorry that he could not make his brother turn into a pure devotee. This was not done by Vidura because of Dhritarashtra's being inimical to the Pandavas, who were all devotees of the Lord. So one thing is clear from this, that Vidura did not bestow the sort of mercy that is required to attain Krishna Prema Bhakti to Dhritarashtra, because Dhritarashtra was an offender unto Krishna's devotees. That's a lesson for us. When we notice someone who's offensive to Lord Krishna or Krishna's perfect pure devotees, then we don't need to go overboard in trying to just do the duty. Like here. He did his duty. He was a younger brother. It was his duty to deliver whoever would listen to him. And by family customs, it was also his duty. So he did his duty, and he could only speak that much. How can he attain liberation? That's all. An offense at the feet of a Vaishnava is more dangerous than an offense at the lotus feet of the Lord. An offense at the feet of the Lord is easily excused by the Lord, but an offense at the feet of a devotee is never excused by the Lord. Vidura was certainly very liberal to bestow mercy upon his brother Dhritarashtra, whose past life was very materialistic, but ultimately the result of such mercy certainly depended on the will of the Supreme Lord. In the present life, therefore, Dhritarashtra attained liberation only, and after many such liberated states of life, one can attain to the stage of devotional service. Vidura was certainly very mortified by the death of his brother and sister-in-law, and the only remedy to mitigate such lamentation was to go on pilgrimage. Thus, Maharaj Yudhishthir had no chance to call back Vidura, his surviving uncle. Yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhu, it's little bit related and little bit off track. Like a devotee has two main hindrances, practicing devotee. One is this Vaishnava Aparadh, and other one, which, if I'm not wrong, is the weeds while engaged in Shravan and Kirtan. So offenses, like we hear that we should try to avoid offenses, and then remedy is there to ask forgiveness from the devotee, like 3 levels of remedies. But I don't know much about the weeds, like how to uproot the weeds, what happens, how weeds grow, and then how to take care of these weeds. What happens if they are not taken care of? Because yesterday, devotees are saying that even if we chant, but if desire for sense enjoyment is there, first that sense enjoyment, that desire will become fulfilled. So if I am in ashram and obviously I have sexual desires dormant inside, and if I increase my chanting and if that becomes fulfilled, then it's a greater problem.
Therefore, one should pray to Krishna. One should also, there are also different things which are required to be done. It's not just chanting or just engagement in different activities. One should beg Krishna. One should also pray to pure devotees of Krishna. They will engage us in the sort of services which will fix our mind at Krishna's lotus feet. There are different things which are done. For instance, deity worship is accepted as one of the remedial measures for getting out of the influence of passion, like that, under the guidance of more advanced devotees. We become disciplined and gradually things fall into shape. So it takes some endeavor. We have to do whatever is required to reduce the effects of passion and ignorance, which means the 3 gateways to hell: lust, anger, and greed. So association is first. And then we also have to keep looking for what are all the things that trigger the continuance and increase of lust, anger, and greed, and get rid of it. Abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagyena cha grihyate. Out of sight, out of mind. So there are different things which need to be done. One of the things that one thing I'm very clear about is that unnecessary facility for internet access itself is a problem. At one time, I was staying at Shruti Bhavan, and I had a laptop. At that time, the internet dongle had come. So I asked Gopi Prandan Prabhu whether I can purchase one, because for everything I would ask him. So I asked him, can I purchase? He said, no, don't purchase. Then he said, isn't there any other way to have internet access? I said, yes, there is. There is a place called, there was an internet cafe. And the internet cafe is where the MCS hall is right now. I said, it is about 10 minutes walk from Shruti Bhavan if I have to um, take my laptop and go all the way there for internet. Then he said, that's okay. I said, it may be more than 10 minutes also sometimes, maybe 15 minutes also. He said, that's okay. You take your laptop for 10 to 15 minutes. Every time you need to go for internet access, you connect yourself, do your thing, leave it immediately, come back. Don't live with the internet. We are supposed to keep ourselves away from unnecessary influence. So if you notice how Prabhupada set up ISKCON also, he did not have televisions installed in all the temples. At time that was the method of mass communication. He did not do that. So we have to carefully think what we need to do in order to progress, what we need to avoid. Okay.
So uprooting the weeds means like removing this triggering agents.
Everything, that thing, and keeping away, many things that need to be done. We have to get out, we have to save ourselves from the weeds. We have to save ourselves from the weeds. For all that it takes, all that it takes. $60. इत्युक्त्वाथा रुहत्स्वर्गं नारदः सहतुं गुरुः युधिष्ठिरो वचस्तस्य हृदि कृत्वा जहाच्युतः. Having spoken thus, the great sage Narada, along with his Vena, ascended into outer space. Yudhishthir kept his instruction in his heart and so was able to get rid of all lamentations. In Naradaji is an eternal spaceman, having been endowed with a spiritual body by the grace of the Lord. He can travel in the outer spaces of both the material and spiritual worlds without restriction and can approach any planet in unlimited space within no time. We have already discussed his previous life as the son of a maidservant. Because of his association with pure devotees, he was elevated to the position of an eternal spaceman and thus has freedom of movement. One should therefore try to follow in the footsteps of Narada Muni and not make a futile effort to reach other planets by mechanical means. Maharaj Yudhishthir was a pious king and therefore he could see Narada Muni occasionally. Anyone who desires to see Narada Muni must first become pious by following in the footsteps of Narada Muni. Piety is very important. Chapter 14, the disappearance of Lord Krishna. 1. Suta Vacha, Samprasthite Dwarakayam Jishno Bandhu Dridikshaya Gyatum cha Punyashlokasya Krishnasya cha Vicheshtitam. This is a part of a sentence. Madhvacharya says that I think something's wrong with this type of 1 minute, just 1 minute. I have a printed version of Madhvacharya's Bhagavata Tattparya. Just quickly examine. I have a feeling something's wrong with this type. See? Till the text needs to be examined. Because he's quoting from, it's not clear where the full stop is. So I'll simply leave it. चतुर्दशोत्वरिष्ठानि दृष्ट्वा राजा विशङ्कितः अशृणोत् अर्जुनात् कृष्ण तिरोधानम् अतीर्यते. What is it? Atíryate. In the 14th chapter, the king becomes frightened on seeing various apashakvanas, omens, arishtas. He heard from Arjuna about Krishna's disappearance. This is noted there. The word cha here, Krishnasya cha visheshtitam. He wanted to know about Krishna's further programs of work. Sri Suta Goswami said, Arjuna went to Dwaraka to see Lord Shri Krishna and other friends and also to learn from the Lord of his next activities. The word cha indicates that Arjuna also wanted to know what Krishna's plan was. Katichit, for some time. Where is Katichit? Katichit in the second verse. Yes, clubbed 1 and 2 together. Okay. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord descended to earth for the protection of the faithful and annihilation of the impious. So after the battle of Kurukshetra and establishment of Maharaj Yudhishthira, the mission of the Lord was complete. The Pandavas, especially Arjuna, were eternal companions of the Lord, and therefore Arjuna went to Dwaraka to hear from the Lord of his next program of work. 2. Vyatita Katichin Masas Tadana Yat Ator Arjuna Dadarshak Ghora Rupani Nimittani Kurudvaha. A few months passed, and Arjuna did not return. Maharaj Yudhishthira then began to observe some inauspicious omens which were fearful in themselves. Seven months. Even after that, Arjuna did not come back from Dwaraka. On this side, the leader of the Kurus, Yudhishthira, saw many inauspicious omens. Ashwamedhartham Shri Krishnasya Punar Agamanantaram iti Gyeya. He was thinking that Krishna will come to preside over another Ashwamedha sacrifice. He saw these inauspicious symptoms both before and after Vidura's arrival. Lord Shri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is infinitely more powerful than the most powerful sun of our experience. Millions and billions of suns are created by him and annihilated by him within his one breathing period. In the material world, the sun is considered to be the source of all productivity and material energy, and only due to the sun can we have the necessities of life. Therefore, during the personal presence of the Lord on the earth, all paraphernalia for our peace and prosperity, especially religion and knowledge, were in full display because of the Lord's presence, just as there is a full flood of light in the presence of the glowing sun. Maharaj Yudhishthira observed some discrepancies in his kingdom, and therefore he became very anxious about Arjuna, who was long absent. and there was also no news about Dwaraka's well-being. He suspected the disappearance of Lord Krishna. Otherwise, there would have been no possibility of fearful omens. According to Madhvacharya, this was here months referred to days. And he says that when one becomes filled with anxiety, then he experiences days as months. 3. Kalasya chi gatim raudram viparyastartu dharminaha papiyasim nrinamartam krodhalobanratatmanam. He saw that the direction of eternal time had changed, and this was very fearful. There were disruptions in the seasonal regularities. The people in general had become very greedy, angry, and deceitful, and he saw that they were adopting foul means of livelihood. Papiyasim Namvartam. They had become excessively sinful. When civilization is disconnected from the loving relation with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, symptoms like changes of seasonal regulations, foul means of livelihood, greed, anger, and fraudulence become rampant. The change of seasonal regulations refers to one season's atmosphere becoming manifest in another season. For example, the rainy seasons being transferred to autumn, or the fructification of fruits and flowers from one season in another season. A godless man is invariably greedy, angry, and fraudulent. Such a man can earn his livelihood by any means, black or white. During the reign of Maharaj Yudhishthira, all the above symptoms were conspicuous by their absence. That means all of these symptoms were very noticeably absent. But Maharaj Yudhishthira was astonished to experience even a slight change in the godly atmosphere of his kingdom, and at once he suspected the disappearance of the Lord. Foul means of livelihood indicates deviation from one's occupational duty. There are prescribed duties for everyone, such as the Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. But anyone who deviates from his prescribed duty and still declares that he belongs to his original social class is following a foul means of livelihood. A man becomes too greedy for wealth and power when he has no higher objective in life, and when he thinks that this earthly life of a few years is all in all. Ignorance is the cause of all these anomalies in human society. And to remove this ignorance, especially in this age of degradation, the powerful sun in the shape of Srimad Bhagavatam is there to distribute light. Or Jihvaprayam Vyavahritam Shakhyamishram Cha Sauhridam Pitrim Matris Suhridratri Dampatinam Cha Kalkaram. All ordinary transactions and dealings became polluted with cheating. Even between friends and in familial affairs, there was always misunderstanding between fathers, mothers, and sons, between well-wishers and between brothers. Even between husband and wife, there were always strain and quarrel. The quarrel between fathers and sons is a symptom of Kali. A conditioned living being is endowed with 4 principles of malpractice, namely errors, insanity, inability, and cheating. Rama, Ramada, Karana, Apatava, and Vipralipsa. These are signs of imperfection. And out of the 4, the propensity to cheat others is most prominent. And this cheating practice is there in the conditioned souls because they are in the material world primarily due to their being imbued with an unnatural desire to lord it over the material world. A living being in his pure state is not conditioned by the laws of material nature, because in his pure state, he is conscious that a living being is eternally subservient to the Supreme Being, and that it is always good for him to remain subservient instead of falsely trying to lord it over the property of the Supreme Lord. In the conditioned state, the living being is not satisfied, even if he actually becomes the lord of all that he surveys, which he never becomes. And therefore, he becomes a victim of all kinds of cheating, even by his nearest and most intimate relations. In such an unsatisfactory state of affairs, there's no harmony, even between father and sons or between husband and wife. But all these contending difficulties can be mitigated by one process, and that is the devotional service of the Lord. The world of hypocrisy can be checked only by counteraction through devotional service to the Lord and nothing else. Maharaj Yudhishthir, having observed the disparities, conjectured the disappearance of the Lord from the earth. So he suspected that Krishna would have gone. Nimittan 5. Nimittanyatyarishtani kale tvanugate nrinam lobhadya dharma prakritim drishtvo vachanujam nripaha. In course of time, it came to pass that people in general became accustomed to greed, anger, pride, etc. Maharaj Yudhishthira, observing all these omens, spoke as follows to his younger brother. Bhima. Yes.
Prabhu, two points are there in this fourth purport.
What? I
Does
cannot
he
hear
a
you.
living entity?
Say again, loudly.
A living entity falsely tries to lord over the property of the Supreme Lord. And he cannot be satisfied even if he actually becomes the Lord of all that he serves, which he never becomes. So if he never becomes, how it is so surely said that he can never be satisfied even if he becomes.
He is not satisfied even if he actually becomes the Lord of all that he surveys. He is given the role of being the Lord of all that he surveys. But he cannot actually lord it over the way, to the extent that he imagines. To the extent that he imagines, he cannot lord it over. So he is given what he wants. Every conditioned soul is given what he wants, corresponding to the amount of piety that he has that causes him to deserve that. But whatever we are given, we want to lord it over to an infinite extent. We're not satisfied just to lord it over it a little bit. If you want a wife and you have a wife, then you want to lord it over her. A woman also wants to lord it over her husband. You want to have children, then you want to lord it over. You want to have subordinates, you want to lord it over. You want property, you want to lord it over. You want in that way. But you can't control it to the extent that you want. So therefore, we are dissatisfied. Such a pious king as Maharaj Yudhishthira at once became perturbed when there were such inhuman symptoms as greed, anger, irreligiosity, and hypocrisy rampant in society. It appears from this statement that all these symptoms of degraded society were unknown to the people of the time. And it was astonishing for them to have experienced them with the advent of the Kali Yuga, or the age of quarrel. 6. Yudhishthira Vacha. Sampreshito Dwarakayam Vishnur Bandhu Drikshaya Gyatum Cha Punya Shlokasya Krishnasya Cha Visheshtitam. Maharaj Yudhishthira said to his younger brother Bhimasena, I sent Arjuna to Dwaraka to meet his friends and to learn from the personality of Lord Krishna of his program of work. 7. Gata saptadhuna masa Bhimasena Tavanuja Ayati Kasiva Hetur Naham Vedamanjasa. Since he departed, 7 months have passed. yet he has not returned. I do not know factually how things are going there. I don't know why he hasn't come. Api devarshinadishta sakaloyam upasthita yadatmano ungam makridam bhagavan utsisrikshati. Is the Lord going to quit his earthly pastimes as Devarshi Narada indicated? Has that time already arrived? But it's not Anga, it is Angam. The time for him to give up his dramatic performance as a human being. Has that time arrived? So here's Anga, Angam. He's going to give up his Angam. That's the literal meaning. So what does that mean? So Madhvacharya says this Angam. Angam can mean body. Angam can mean a part, or literally plenary portion. So Madhvacharya explains that Angam in this context refers to Prithvi, and he quotes Brahmatarka, a book by Vyasadeva, in which it is stated, whenever it is stated that the Lord is going to give up his body, it is referring to Prithvi and so on. It never talks about Lord Vishnu giving up his own body at any point in time, because his body is himself. He doesn't give up his own body. So what is that body? Jiva Goswami explains. Angam swadhama gamanena virat rupam tyakshiyati iti arthaha. Hindi. Valmiki Ramayana. Fine. We'll go offer to Radha Madhav and Sitaram Lakshman at Sri Murari Gupta's house. Angam swadhama gamanena virat rupam tyakshiyati iti arthaha. Has the time arrived for him to give up his Virat Rupa? See, the universe is also considered to be the Lord's body. It's an extended body. If he is the super soul of the universe, then the body is like a super body of the Lord. This is the keys. This is the central point of Ramanujacharya's Vishishtadvaita explanation. Whenever it says that you are God, like Tattvamasi, that somebody is talking to Shvetaketu. Shvetaketu Tattvamasi. You are God. That you are God doesn't mean that you are literally God. It means that God is present inside you. And just as we commonly refer to the body and soul as being one, so it is in that sense that you are God. It means you are, God is the soul inside you. You are the soul of your body. And God is your soul. That interpretation actually fits with the Tattvamasi, because the actual text is Aitadatmyam idam sarvam tat satyam Tattvamasi. Everything in this universe has the Supreme Being as the Atma. Tat satyam, that is true. Tattvamasi. Therefore, you are him. So it is in that sense. So in the same way, the universe is also said to be the Lord's body. So he is going to give up the Virat Rupa. He is going to give up the universe. यदा आत्मनः अंगम इति युधिष्ठिरस्य बन्धुशोकानुरूपैः न तु सिद्धान्तस्पर्शिनी. This is simply out of his lamentation for his most dear friend Krishna's departure that Yudhishthira is speaking like this. This does not touch the actual Siddhanta. Saraswati tu tanmukhe samuchitamevaha. However, Saraswati has spoken through Yudhishthira properly only. Yad atmanangam amsharupam narayanam utsrikshati. Urdhvam vaikundam prati srikshati. Prasthapayitumikshati. So the Supreme Lord, when he leaves this world and goes back to his own abode, Goloka Vrindavan, on the way, he will send his plenary portion, Narayana, back to Vaikuntha. Angam. What is Mangam? Angam. Bhumi Rupam. Bhagavan Utsrashtam Tyaktumichati. Yasya Prithvi Shariram Iti Shavana. According to Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, there's a very famous section called Antaryami Brahmana, in which 21 items of existence are enlisted. And for each one it is said that he who is inside, like for instance, Prithvi, he who is inside the Prithvi, whom Prithvi does not know, who controls Prithvi, who is the innermost soul of Prithvi, you should know that he is the immortal Atma of yours. The Tattvamasi appears 9 times, but this Antaryami Brahmana repeats 21 times. So Shankaracharya's point is, if something is meant to be seriously taken into consideration, it is repeated many times. At least it is repeated 3 times. But 9 times it is said, Tattvamasi. 9 times. So that means the Upanishad wants you to understand that you are God. And then Ramanujacharya, he argues back. Okay, 9 times, but 21 times it says here that the Supreme Lord is the innermost soul of everything, and everything is the body of the Supreme Lord. So here also, when has the time come for the Lord to give up his body in the form of Bhumi, Prithvi? As we have discussed many times, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, has many plenary expansions, and each and every one of them, although equally powerful, executes different functions. In the Bhagavad Gita, there are different statements by the Lord, and each of these statements is meant for different plenary portions or portions of the plenary portions. For example, Sri Krishna, the Lord, says in the Bhagavad Gita, whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice or descendant of Bharata and a predominant rise of religion, at that time I incarnate myself to deliver the faithful, to annihilate the miscreants, and also to re-establish the principles of occupational duty. I appear in every age. If I should cease to work, then all humanity would be misdirected. I would also be the cause of creating unwanted population, and I would thereby destroy the peace of all sentient beings. Whatever action a great man performs, common men will follow. Whatever standards he sets by exemplary acts, all the world pursues. All the above statements by the Lord apply to different plenary portions of the Lord, namely his expansions such as Sankarshana, Vasudeva, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, and Narayana. In other words, they apply to different means. In different capacities, he's speaking this. Narayana is the one who deals with this decline in religious practice and predominant rise of a religion. Similarly, this appearing in every age to deliver the faithful, or to, if he does not set an example. These are all particular forms of the Lord. Not necessary that all of them have to be done by Swayam Bhagavan Shri Krishna himself. He is the only, or to think that he is the only one who does it. These are all he himself in different transcendental expansions, and still the Lord as Shri Krishna functions in a different sphere of transcendental exchange with different grades of devotees. And yet Lord Krishna, as he is, appears once every 24 hours of Brahma's time, or after a lapse of million, billion, trillion, 8 trillion, 640 billion, is this correct? 1,000 million billion, no, 8 billion, 640 million solar years. in each and every universe, and all his transcendental pastimes are displayed in each and every universe in a routine spool. But in that routine spool, the functions of Lord Krishna, Lord Vasudeva, etc., are complex problems for the layman. There is no difference between the Lord's self, the Lord's transcendental body, and his expansions to execute different activities. When the Lord, however, appears in his person as Shri Krishna, his other plenary portions also join in him by his inconceivable potency called Yogamaya. And thus, the Lord Krishna of Vrindavan is different from the Lord Krishna of Mathura or the Lord Krishna of Dwaraka. In terms of rasa, they are different. Siddhantastu abhedepi Srisha Krishnayo rasena utkrishyate Krishna rupamesha rasasthiti. That is the perspective of rasa, and that is the perspective of Siddhanta. From the perspective of reality, Krishna and the husband of the goddess of fortune are one. But from the perspective of rasa, experienced by the devotees of these two forms of the Lord, the form of Krishna is superior. That's Rupa Goswami. The Virat Rupa of Lord Krishna is also different from him by his inconceivable potency. The Virat Rupa exhibited on the battlefield of Kurukshetra is the material conception of his form. Therefore, it should be understood that when Lord Krishna was apparently killed by the bow and arrow of a hunter, the Lord left his so-called material body in the material world. The Lord is Kaivalya. For him, there is no difference between matter and spirit because everything is created from him. There's no difference between matter and spirit means that both of them are equally under his control. Therefore, his quitting one sort of body or accepting another body does not mean that he's like the ordinary living being. All such activities are simultaneously one and different by his inconceivable potency. When Maharaj Yudhishthira was lamenting the possibility of his disappearance, it was just in pursuance of a custom of lamenting the disappearance of a great friend, but factually the Lord never quits his transcendental body as is misconceived by less intelligent persons. Such less intelligent persons have been condemned by the Lord himself in Bhagavad Gita, and they are known as the Mudhas. That the Lord left his body means that he left again his friendly portions in the respective dhams, transcendental abodes, as he left his Virat Rupa in the material world. The Virat Rupa is this material world. 9. Yasmanna sampado rajyam dara pranah kulam praja asan sapatna vijayo lokascha yad anugrahat. From him only all our kingly opulence, our kingdom, good wives, life, progeny, control over our subjects, victory over our enemies, and future accommodation in higher planets has become possible. All this is due to his causeless mercy upon us. Asmakam sarva purusharthatve hetuhu Shri Krishna. Ataha tad viyogam vina anishtam nasya ityashena. Lord Shri Krishna is the cause for us attaining all the goals of life. Without his separation, it is not possible for there to be these inauspicious omens. This will be further clarified by Arjuna. Future accommodation in higher planets is due to performances of these 5 sacrifices which are presided by Lord Krishna. Jiva Goswami explains another meaning of it. Yasya anugraham atral lokascha vashikratas. It is simply by the Lord's mercy, Lord Shri Krishna's mercy, that all these lokas have been brought under control. Loka also means people. Everybody has been brought under control. Material prosperity consists of a good wife, good home, sufficient land, good children, aristocratic family relations, victory over competitors, and by pious work, attainment of accommodation in the higher celestial planets for better facilities of material amenities. So the first set of accomplishment is for this life. And attainment of accommodation in the higher celestial planets for better facilities of material amenities is the second set of accomplishment. So this is the Vedic conception that success means there is part one success and part two success. Part one success is all this: good wealth, good home, sufficient land, good children, aristocratic family relations, victory over competitors. Part two success is you attain accommodation in the higher celestial planets for better facilities of material amenity. So this is generally conceived of as a win-win solution. And I have the best of both worlds. These facilities are earned not only by one's hard manual labor or by unfair means, but by the mercy of the Supreme Lord. Prosperity earned by one's personal endeavor also depends on the mercy of the Lord. Personal labor must be there in addition to the Lord's benediction, but without the Lord's benediction, no one is successful simply by personal labor. The modernized man of Kali Yuga believes in personal endeavor and denies the benediction of the Supreme Lord. Even a great sannyasi of India delivered speeches in Chicago protesting the benedictions of the Supreme Lord. But as far as Vedic Shastras are concerned, as we find in the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam, the ultimate sanction for all success rests in the hands of the Supreme Lord. So Krishna is the sanctioning cause. Daivam Chaivatra Panchamam. He is the fifth cause, specifically as the sanctioner, sanctioning agent. Upadrashta Anumanta is that cause. Maharaj Yudhishthira admits this truth in his personal success, and it behooves one to follow in the footsteps of such a great king and devotee of the Lord to make life a full success. If one could achieve success without the sanction of the Lord, then no medical practitioner would fail to cure a patient. Actually, people's faith in allopathic medicine, for instance, is more than the faith people have in God. Even though people are all dying, diseases are not cured, still they have faith. No, we must fund medical research and we should find it. We are about to find it. It's about to happen. This, that. But still, it doesn't work like that. Despite the most advanced treatment of a suffering patient by the most up-to-date medical practitioner, that is death. And even in the most hopeless case, without medical treatment, the patient is cured astonishingly. Therefore, the conclusion is that God's sanction is the immediate cause for all happenings, good or bad. Any successful man should feel grateful to the Lord for all he has achieved. 10. Pashyotpata narav vyaghrit divyan bhauman saddaihi khan darunan shamsato durat bhayam no buddhi mohanam. O man with the tiger's strength, how many miseries due to celestial influences, earthly reactions, and bodily pains, all very dangerous in themselves, are foreboding danger in the near future by deluding our intelligence. Material advancement of civilization means advancement of the reactions of the threefold miseries due to celestial influence, earthly reactions, and bodily or mental pains. So modern civilizational advancement simply is increasing tapatraya. By the celestial influence of the stars, there are many calamities like excessive heat, cold, rain, or lack of rain. And the after effects are famine, disease, and epidemic. The aggregate result is agony of the body and the mind. Man-made material science cannot do anything to counteract these threefold miseries. They are all punishments from the superior energy of Maya under the direction of the Supreme Lords. Therefore, our constant touch with the Lord by devotional service can give us relief, so we will not be disturbed in the discharge of our human duties. The Asuras, however, who do not believe in the existence of God, make their own plans to counteract all these threefold miseries, and so they meet with failure every time. The Bhagavad Gita clearly states that the reaction of material energy is never to be conquered because of the binding effects of the three modes. They can simply be overcome by one who surrenders fully in devotion unto the lotus feet of the Lord. 11. Urvakshi bahavo makhyam spurintyanga punah punah veputushchapi hridaye aradasyanti vipriyam. My left thigh, arm, and eye are all quivering again and again. I'm having heart palpitations due to fear. All this indicates undesirable happenings. Daihikan, these are all bodily, there are bodily symptoms of future inauspiciousness. Urvadayaha vamaha spuranti, the left thigh, left arm, left eye. For men, when the left part of the body twitches, spurana, it says quivering here. And that's an indication of something inauspicious. Veputuhu, kampascha hridaya vartate. Heart palpitations due to fear. Daihikan utpatan aha. Veputushchapi hridaye aradasyanti vipriyam. Dasyanti is in plural, but actually it has the meaning of singular. It is the license of the sage. Material existence is full of undesirables. Things we do not want are forced upon us by some superior energy, and we do not see that these undesirables are under the grip of the three modes of material nature. When a man's left eye, arm, and thigh all quiver constantly, one must know that something is going to happen which is undesirable. These undesirables are compared to fire in a forest. No one goes into the forest to set fires, but fires automatically take place in the forest, creating inconceivable calamities for the living beings of the forest. Such a fire cannot be extinguished by any human efforts. The fire can be extinguished only by the mercy of the Lord, who sends clouds to pour water on the forest. Similarly, undesirable happenings in life cannot be checked by any number of plans. Such miseries can be removed only by the mercy of the Lord, who sends his bona fide representatives to enlighten human beings and thus save them from all calamities. Okay, I'll stop with that. Achyutanam Prabhu.
Prabhu, my left side keeps quivering.
Something most inauspicious is about to attack you in your life, so you better chant more rounds and you stay with devotees. Don't try to save the world, save yourself. I can say so many things, but if you're terrified to take the next step, that's your problem.
And Prabhu,
today morning also my left eye was twitching, but yes, since last few days, alternatively I'm getting I don't know, itching or twitching. I think that itching is also twitching, but Dharma Prabhu says itching is not twitching. I don't know, whatever, something is going to happen to all of our lives. So therefore, we should just increase our quality and quantity of chanting and keep association with like-minded souls under the association of more advanced devotees and protect ourselves from everything actually.
so, and one more point was like it's hard. There is no reference to it, but people say that spirituality will not stop, like very flowery words they use. Spirituality doesn't stop the storms in life, but it will give you
Yeah,
strength.
astrologers usually talk all these things. Even devotee astrologers talk all these things.
So, but here we see that even these storms can be stopped. Is it correct or no? We have to endure that only.
I didn't understand the last part.
Like in material world, miseries can be checked by devotional service. We hear this. So this version is
Individually, one will be saved. Those who deserve to be saved will be saved. All those who don't deserve to be saved will not be saved. That's all. Okay.
Okay.
We'll close up for today. Tomorrow is supposed to be a review. Tomorrow and day after. So then what to do about all those points? If you people have not prepared, then I'll just ask you to speak on the spot. I'll give you 5 minutes time and you just have to speak. That's all. So better read those portions and come.
So like Prabhu, everyone has to read all the portions and
No,
randomly you will
no.
ask.
No. Just that there are particular points which are meant to be covered. I want the students to do. Just read through. That's enough. Just read through the chapters. Just read through the translation and purports of this particular unit. At least scan through it, browse through it.